and wisdom. Bear with me for a few minutes here. I'm going to send out an invitation on Fireside. Select all. 3,478. Love how the followers increased so quickly over there. Now, if 1% showed up in the room, then I'd really be impressed. But it's not the numbers. It's those who are supposed to show up. Those who show up are the ones who are supposed to be learned that many years ago. Now I'm going to try to get situated here, and I should have had this done before. Alright, let's see what we can do. So, peek back over here at Wisdom. I see there's 3 people listening. Chanel, Marcy Ann, Rodney Williams. If you have questions, if you'd like me to look for your ancestor, your family, I am more than willing to do that. You can also join me over on Fireside Chat if you like. We'll get rid of this background music here. Mute the chat box. It's been a fun week. I've had a few of these to actually work on this week, and that has made it a little more interesting. And I'm hoping that a few of the people who have been working on these 4 are going to show up tonight. I had one tell me they were, and 2 others that haven't confirmed yet. I know they're interested. It's just a matter of timing. But what I usually do to help people get started for free is a couple of things. So first of all, I like to teach a man or woman to fish rather than feeding them fish. So if you are looking at starting researching your family for family or family tree, you would like to find your ancestors, there's a couple of things that I can do to help. There's a few things you can do to help yourself. One is grab a pen and paper or something that you can take notes on and go to legacyfamilytree.com. That will provide you with a great starting point with a free database. It's their online standard version, and it's what I use for about my first 10 years of research. I've been researching now for somewhere around 32 or 33 years. And for my first 10 years, what I relied on was the free download from legacyfamilytree.com. The upgrade, when I upgraded probably 20 years ago, I think it was $20, and the upgrade now is $35. It's like once a year maybe, and that's only if you want to upgrade, I think. It's like super affordable, but the free download of the standard edition is really all you need. I encourage people to do things free or cheap, and really free when you're starting out, because why go spend money on something that you don't need to spend money on, especially until you know that you really want to do this research. If you're just curious and playing around, start with free. And so legacyfamilytree.com and get the free standard edition download. That gives you something to put stuff in, to enter your names in, to keep track of things, even record your sources and information and notes, research notes. And so now the second place that I suggest that you go is FamilySearch.org. FamilySearch.org is a website provided by, and tons of information, by the way, provided by the Church of Latter-day Saints. I am not a member, but I am forever thankful that they have created and continue to build this website, and the resources on here are absolutely incredible. So it's FamilySearch.org. Once you get there, click the search button and click records. The records are things like vital stats, birth, marriage, death records, military records, census records, all of those things. It is an incredible amount of information. General rule of thumb is, if a person was born 100 years ago or more, married 75 years ago or more, or died 50 or more years ago, then those records are usually in the public records. There are exceptions to that, both ways. But the good ways, some military records are more recent. Now in the U.S., United States, the 1950 census is available, and soon to be in Canada, the 1931 census will be available. Currently up to 1921 is available. So that 31, I believe, is going to be available this year, which will be an exciting event for people who do family history and genealogy. And so once you go to FamilySearch.org, click search, and then records, you can scroll down that page and enter in your name or the name of the person that you're looking for. So who will I pick this time? I'm going to say William Kavanaugh. I don't have my database in front of me, but I know that William's daughter was born in 1864, which means that William would have been born at least before 1850. So I'm going to pretend that I don't know, or I don't have the information. I do, I can go look it up. But I'm going to put that he was born 1840. I want to actually change that with a 10-year span on either side in a minute. But I also know that he was born in Nova Scotia. So I'm going to enter that in. And I'm going to see what comes up for results on FamilySearch.org, because it's a free website that has all of those records, or all those types of records that I just mentioned, plus more. And so I have a William Kavanaugh and Inga Nitch up in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. I know that that's not the right one. There's a second one in Guysborough County, Nova Scotia, and I know that that's not the right one. And these two actually are in the 1871 census. So I see again in 1881. I see there was one born in 1844 in Halifax. It's interesting because I'm not seeing the one that I'm looking for. So, what do we do with that? I'm going to pretend that I just can't go and look up the information, because for me that would be the easy thing to do because I have it. But this is a great example. How can we find William Kavanaugh? Can we find William Kavanaugh? And I see that there are a few in, the far end of Nova Scotia. Sorry, I had a head cold this weekend, and as you can tell, still got a little cough. So, William Kavanaugh. So I don't see anything there. Now, I do know that I may have the wrong year in, so I'm going to take the year out altogether and just try. I know he was born in Nova Scotia. This is actually my great grandfather that I'm looking for. And I'm kind of pretending that I don't know information that I do already know. Just to see what'll come up. Currently, right here, right now, using the free search, family search on FamilySearch.org, searching records. And the one I'm looking for should be in the Yarmouth County, Nova Scotia area. And the ones who are showing up are all in the other end of the province. So, now there's like 74 pages of results, but that's not really that helpful, because usually after you go past the first page or two, there's so on the search results. Let me see if I can bring this back up. Somehow I lost my search page. So I know. Okay, now I can do the range, and that's what I wanted to do before. And it still may not come up. So I know that he had my grandmother in about 1864. And so he would have had to have been at least born before 1849, we'll say, at least 15 years earlier. And I'm going to make it wide and say 1800, because in that time and place, it was common for men, sometimes older men, to marry younger and sometimes young women. Now, it's interesting. That gives me a William Kavanaugh who was born in Nova Scotia in 1826, and he is located in Belleville, Argyle Municipality, Yarmouth County, Nova Scotia. And so, let's have a look at that. And what do we see? Interesting, because on that record, it's just him. But that also gives us an 1826 year for the birth. So now, let's go back to the search one more time. And instead of going from 1800 to 1849, we're still not going to go with the exact year that we had on the census record. because they might be mistaken. But let's say 1825. We'll go with 1820 to 1835. Let's try to narrow it down a little bit. So this is kind of how we learn to search. Hi, Jada. So, Jada, what I have explained so far and the tools that I've suggested so far are legacyfamilytree.com, which will give you a free database to use. It's legacyfamilytree.com. For my first 10 years of researching, it's exactly what I used, and it's called their standard edition, and it's a free download. I used that probably for my first 10 years. When I upgraded over 20 years ago, I think I paid $20 for the upgrade, and about every year or two, maybe, when they actually do an update, software update, I have the option to update it. I can't really remember if I have to pay for the update or not, but currently the standard edition is still free, always has been to my knowledge, and the upgrade, which is well worth it, it's $35. It's either for the year or until the next upgrade, but I use the free edition, Family Tree, legacyfamilytree.com, legacy fam, Legacy, familytree.com, for the free download of the standard edition. And I encourage people to start with free, because why spend a lot of money on something before you know that you actually want to do research for a period of time? And so the second site that I was looking at is familysearch.org, which is provided by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm not a member, so I kind of have to remember how it goes, but I am thankful for them for providing the website. And on the on the familysearch.org website, click search. So familysearch.org, click search, and then click records. And so what I did is I first searched for William Cavanaugh, and I know that his daughter was born about 1864, so I knock off about 15 years, and I tried doing a search. The first search I did was 1840, and then when the search results come up, it gave me not exactly what I was looking for, but it gave me a year range. So then I narrowed that down from like 1800 to I think 1840, and then it showed me a William Cavanaugh born in Yarmouth County, Nova Scotia, which was the one I'm looking for, born 1826. Now my next step was to narrow it down even further to see if I could find, or more readily find, information. And I went with 1820 to 1835, and that's what I'm looking at now. Now I do still see ones for the opposite end, the northern end of Nova Scotia. I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada, and up in Pictou and Guysborough and in Cape Breton Island, there were William Cavanaughs. In Hants, Nova Scotia, there were William Cavanaughs. And it's interesting because the only record that I'm seeing for him that's coming up, although there should be other ones, is for the 1891 census for Belleville, Argyle Municipality, Yarmouth County, Nova Scotia. And I know that that's the right one, but I'm trying to... Okay, so here's another one just come up because I narrowed the dates. When we have really wide dates, hi Hans, when we have really wide dates, sometimes the search results on familysearch.org, which is a free-to-use website, it will bring up too many results. So by narrowing my dates down to look for William Cavanaugh in Nova Scotia between 1820 and 1835, now I'm not seeing just the 1891 census, I actually seen the 1881 census with William Cavanaugh. And so what I want to do is I want to look at that. And am I on the 81? No, it's the 91. So I know in 91, at least the way the results come up here, it shows that he was alone. Now he may have been, I can't remember. He may not have been too. Sometimes those search results will come up and they will just show one person. For some reason, they've all been, I don't know if different people have done the transcriptions. They're all there on the actual record. But sometimes there'll be individual records for people in the same house. So he may or may not have been. The good thing here on Family Search is they provide the actual page where you can click and see the actual document. And so I may do that in a moment and see how that looks, see if he was alone in 1891. But right now in 1881, he is recorded as married. He has a wife. I'm assuming it's his wife. I'm pretty going by memory too, and by age, the age of his wife. William is 55. His wife, Sarah, is 56. And they have in their household in 1881 Jacob, Lily, Gilbert, Emmy or Emma, it's EMME, Simon, and Phoebe, FEBIE, I think is how the census taker spelled it. Well, I do know that my grandmother, Emma Cavanaugh, was born in or about 1864. So if we look at 81 and we subtract 13, that's very close to 1864. So I know, and I also know that this is the right family. But by narrowing that down, we were able to do that. If I click on, see how well this works. If I click on Emma, that may give me other census years or other information. And so let me see what this one does, because we're doing the Cavanaughs. There's a record here, Canada, Nova Scotia marriages, 1864 to 1918. Emma Louise Cavanaugh. Now let's see if that happens to be the right one. Now here it says that she was born 1867, daughter of William Cavanaugh and Sarah Ann Hurlbert. So that is the one that we're looking for. And she was married to Charles Hurlbert, which is correct. So through that process, I managed to go and narrow it down, take William Cavanaugh and narrow it down and find him in the census. 1891. I just want to check one other thing here. 1881. Now, it's interesting because when I was doing my search, I was actually, I thought I did it. So my point was, I actually did search it with starting Kavanaugh with a K, and it brought it up under the C. So on Family Search, it will do that. Some websites will, some won't, so you have to be careful of that. Now, the other thing is, you will see here on Family Search and even over on Ancestry, which is a paid site, you'll see hints. Things that will take you to other people's trees. My caution is, go check them out, but try to source them. Try to make sure that you get a vital stats or birth, death, marriage, census, military, some record that will help you to find the source, the proof. Don't just take the other person's tree for granted that they had their information right. I'm sure they intend well, but unknowingly they may have just copied that, seeing a hint, and gone and copied it from another tree. Well, don't take everything you see at face value. Having said that, don't take everything you see in a census record or a vital stats record at face value. The people doing the record keeping, taking down the names, excuse me, those people make mistakes too. So that's a little bit about how to get a free database at legacyfamilytree.com, right? Use especially the search and the records, familysearch.org. There's tons of information. My caution is the same as it would be if it was Ancestry or anywhere else. Don't just copy the hints. Don't just go chasing the trees. Try to get the source records so that you know that the information you're copying is right. I'm trying to think of, oh yes. So quite often it'll come up on there, but find a grave. Findagrave.com is another free website. And so I didn't even look, should have. Actually, X'd out, closed out the Family Search site before I should have. I'm going to see. So we know that roughly our William Kavanaugh, the one that I was searching on the other site, that he was born about 1826 according to one record. Don't know when he died. We know that where he's buried, we're going to assume. I know you should never assume, but I also happen to know where he's buried. We're going to assume that he was buried in Nova Scotia. Now it's interesting, he's not on there, or if he is, it didn't come up under that exact search. So I'm going to take out the birth year and see if there's anything that comes up. No, there's not, but that's okay. Find a grave. Findagrave.com. An excellent site. Not everything is going to be there. And if I wanted to take, I could probably go back over to Family Search, look in those records. I may find his year of death there. If I did, then come back to Find a Grave, enter it there. It may still come up. Just want to try. can't remember. I know exactly where the cemetery is. I went to let's just try Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, and William Kavanaugh. See if that happens to come up. No, maybe he's not there. No, maybe it's not in their system. I'm just gonna take and use the last name. Interesting. You know when you're going live and things don't work, it's just Murphy's Law. But Find a Grave is a great website. Like I say, not all the information is there, but to give you an idea, their claim is, and I have no reason to doubt it, that they have over 226 million memorials and have been online since 1995. I use the site regularly. All these free sites I use regularly. The great tool, LegacyFamilyTree.com, FamilySearch.org, Find a Grave, findagrave.com. I had a head cold this weekend. It's kind of left me a little bit foggy. So there are 3 free places to get started doing your family research. Now, the other one is, strange as that sounds, and I don't think that there's going to be anything here for him, but where we were working with William Kavanaugh, I'll use that. But is Google, and put in obit William Kavanaugh, and of course there will be some things that come up, but I'm guessing that isn't coming up because it was too long ago. Doing the obit search is one of the best ways that I have of finding people with information that's more recent, that didn't die, that they've died within the last 50 years. Public records, if they died over 50 years ago, you can generally find them. So I do see William Kavanaugh's, but I don't see him. Now, I'm going to try something. I don't think that's going to bring up anything either, but just to give you a little further example of how I might also trigger something. So I'm searching on Google for obit, O-B-I-T, William Kavanaugh and Sarah Hurlbert. And the reason I do that is, quite often, although I know those are probably not on, those obituaries aren't on here either, quite often that will bring up their children's obituaries. Hi, Claire. Welcome. Do a real speedy recap of how to get started for free. Go to LegacyFamilyTree.com, download their free download of their standard edition. That's going to give you a database where you can enter your names, your sources, keep track of your information. legacyfamilytree.com. Then go to familysearch.org, click on search and records, and do your search there. Be cautious if you see hints to other people's trees. Always be cautious, no matter what website you're on, that you don't just copy information. Look at the information, but then try to find a source. Military, census, or vital stats, birth, marriage, or death record that will help you confirm that what that hint is taking you to is real, something that will be useful for you. The other free website that I mentioned is findagrave.com, and they have over 226 million memorials, headstones. Lots of times they have obituaries or little write-ups with additional information, and that is a great website. When looking for more recent death records, people who have died in, let's say, the last 50 years, Google becomes a great tool. I write in the 4 first letters of obituary, OBIT, and I'm just typing in this time because I want something to come up. Obit, Charles Hurlbert, and Emma Kavanaugh. And the first result on that one, I had no idea that it would be the first result. I knew that there should probably be a result, but I had no idea it would be the first one. Is for their son, Locke Keith Hurlbert. And that's actually my birth father. And I know all my friends are going to cringe and say I shouldn't be giving out this information. Well, I also know that his obituary is online, and I'm listed in it. So, am I really giving out information? No, it's already there. And so it's funny. I always refer to my grandmother Emma, is born in 1864, and because I remember how many years that was between her and I, and on some of her records, it ranges through the 1860s. Sorry. And on the tombstone, it says 1867. So that brings up, and it's listed as the Riverview Cemetery. And I thought it might be connected to her father, William, that I was originally searching for, even though I've had this information for a long time. It makes a good example. And actually, so it lists other family members. Sorry. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to go tonight. I had a head cold all weekend. So, find a grave. FamilySearch.org. Family Tree. LegacyFamilyTree.com. Those are invaluable sites, as is Google. I just got to check over on Wisdom and see if there's anybody with any questions. Not yet. I'm going to mute myself for just. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm going to give each of you the opportunity to ask some questions here on, and I'm going to invite you to speak. You don't have to, but I want to give you the opportunity. If you have questions, if I went over something too quick, if there's family members or ancestry that you'd like me to find, if there's anything you'd like to share, Jada or Claire on Fireside, um, feel free to speak up. Um, don't be shy. It's hopefully you're hopefully I'm presenting it in a way where you're catching what I'm saying. Um, and I've actually last week and the week before I had some people who I've done some research for, and I was going to provide that to them tonight. And unfortunately, it looks like they haven't shown back up. But I do that for free as well for a person or two each week. So if you do want help, if you have, I'm not sure if you've been researching for a while or if you're just getting started. Either way, if you have family members that you're looking for or ancestry that you'd like to find, or maybe a challenge, especially if you've been researching for a while, I have been successful with all those things for different people. And so if you do have any questions, feel free to come up. And same for anyone who's listening over on Wisdom. If you have questions, comments over on Wisdom, click the Join the Conversation button, and I will gladly bring you in and answer your questions to the best of my knowledge. If I don't know the answers, I'll do my best to find it. And same for those here on Fireside Chat. What else? What else can I tell you? The Roots Deck just happened, I think 2 weeks ago, which is sponsored again by Family Search, or Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A member, but I'm thankful for them and the work that they do, and especially the FamilySearch.org website. There is a ton of information available there, and one of the things that they pointed out at RootsTech, which sometimes you fall into a pattern. And my pattern with Family Search has always been to go and click the search and click the records. Occasionally, I go to some of the other links, but not often. The RootsTech is, just so to give you a little idea of RootsTech if you're not familiar with it, held once a year. It was held about 2 weeks ago. It was held in California and broadcast online. Not just Family Search, but pretty much anybody in genealogy, especially anybody providing the tools or resources, and professional genealogists and so on, were probably there. Those of us who are family historians and genealogy researchers, some of us don't have the wherewithal to make the trip. So there were 3 million watching RootsTech. online. So it's just like worldwide. So it's pretty incredible. One of the things that they pointed out that I wasn't aware of, so the records that I was mentioning, when you go to FamilySearch.org and hit the search and then the records, that gives you records that have been transcribed. And you can actually go and see the documents in most cases if you're logged in with a free membership. It's just a free website membership on FamilySearch.org. But if you click on the search, and instead of clicking the records, you click the images, that opens up. I'm just looking. Search groups of images in the world's largest collection of historical documents with over 9 zeros. Is that a billion? 5,046,64, and the last number is just counting. It's literally just counting, because there's people around the world who are adding to this, transcribers volunteering to put things together. We know him over on the Wisdom app and community as Noble Ron, and I know him on here as Ron. Hi, Ron. Thank you for showing up. We have a couple of other people who have been here and listening, for which I'm very thankful. That's Claire and Jada.
Right. Thank you. Apologize for being late. I was
turn up my volume a little bit. So let me see. I've been making Ron wait. I mentioned to Claire and Jada that I had actually 2 or 3 people over the last couple of weeks who I've been working on family stuff for. Mm-hmm. And I am going to, so I've been making Ron wait because I told him I wasn't going to send him the link until he showed up here tonight, and that was after he told me he was going to show up here tonight.
I wouldn't miss it.
Okay. Let me see. Just want to see if this is. Yeah, the format's going to work. It kind of, the way that I'm sharing it, kind of sort of jumbled it a little bit. But let me see if I can get a share link here.
Okay.
All right, give me a minute. Bear with me. Using Google Docs and looking for.
Brian, you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Oh, you know what?
You hear me?
I bet I'm still on mute.
Hear me? Okay, gotcha. Just make sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can now. Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. So I was, if you didn't hear me before, I do apologize for being late.
That's okay. You are low. If you can turn it up a little bit.
Let's see, hold on. Yeah, let me do something. Okay. This one go.
Having fun now.
And then how's this?
Oh, that's better. That's better.
Okay.
All right. For some reason, isn't this live TV a great thing when it works?
Oh yeah. It's fantastic. It's always great.
Let me see if I can.
Let me step into a room myself.
Yep, that's good. Right, you're good right there. All right. So get me the link. All right. So that's set the way I want it.
How's this, Brian?
Oh, link copy. Yeah, you're excellent.
Echoing?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
You're good. The Ron, you may know this better than I. There's no way for me to send you a message on Fireside, is there?
I don't. That's a good question. I mean,
Okay. So I'm going to send you the link over on Wisdom.
okay.
And
Do I need to use it for this for right now? Is it possible for you to? Okay.
Can you do that?
Sure. I'll just be on my phone though the whole time.
Right.
That's fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I thought I might have. I thought I might have lost my.
All right.
So Claire and Jada, you must be chuckling by now. I've only been doing this on here. I've been researching for over 30 years, but I've only been doing this on here for a couple of months now, and so I'm still getting used to the system. And I'm also on Wisdom, Wisdom app / Bryden Farm, BRI.
Oh wow, this is really great.
He's seeing it now.
This is amazing. Let's see. Son Joseph Mary. Okay. Eloise Maud Garrett. Oh wow, look at this.
So what I've done is last week, Ron and some of the others from Wisdom, but Ron was one of my guests over here, and he gave me a little bit of information. What would you say you give me? Maybe your...
I gave you my dad and his father's information.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got a little bit more.
Absolutely. Great.
It traces not every line, but it goes back some lines up to 9 generations. Now the whole thing is only about 12 pages, and that each generation has a blank page in between, so it's about 6 pages.
It's amazing.
But it gives you enough information that if you go back to FamilySearch.org, you're going to be able to build it from there with no problem, because your family over there has actually, once I got back to, I'm going to say your great-grandparents, he disappeared. He went to check something. Once we got back to his, okay, what happened here? All right, something's I got buttons going off everywhere. All right, there we are. He's back. Once I got back, I'm going to say to your great-grandparents, a lot of it has been done, and I think done quite well. And so I didn't bother just copying the information, because I figured that I would hand it back to you, Ron, and say, here is mainly your first 3 or 4 generations, and allow you to go and make the discoveries. And using FamilySearch.org, you're going to be able to make all kinds of discoveries. He's having a hard time here, I think. Alright, I'm confused. You there, Ron? Oh, he's on mute. Maybe on purpose, your mic is muted. Oh, I think he's got 2 apps open and he's trying to... Claire and Jada, you're great for sticking around. Hopefully you're learning a little bit in the process too. And if you have questions, please feel free. Too funny. Let me see. Yep. Alright. That's strange. Can you hear me, Ron? Are you there? Oh, okay. I see a thumbs up, so hoping that that's maybe his mic's not working. Remove from stage? No. I'll give you a video option too if you want that. So yeah, I did the one line back quite a ways because one of the things that I discovered is your ancestors and family line went from, in a lot of cases, the Pilgrims. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening here. They went from the Pilgrims and went to the... I've got all kinds of requests. Okay, just accept all. See what happens. He's having a hard time getting back in. The mute their microphone. No, that's not really what I want to do. Okay. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm just going to continue on because I'm not sure why it's not doing what it should do, Ron. You're already up there and I'm getting another speaker request, so I'm going to accept the speaker request. But then there's nothing there to accept. No, absolutely have no idea why. Accept the request, yes. And then it asks me for a reaction. Anyway, so my ancestors, a number of my ancestors, were also from Plymouth, Massachusetts area, Pilgrims, and they migrated up to Nova Scotia. Yours migrated south. And so I actually spent a lot of time on yours, not so much for you as for me, because we share a lot of similar family surnames coming out of the Pilgrims or that time period in Plymouth, Massachusetts. But what happens back then is you'll go back one line, and they just don't quite connect. They're off by a generation or something. The documentation hasn't been found yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay. So Brian, I'm sorry. When I went to look at the document and it was beautiful. It's great, but I can't. If I try to look at it while I'm talking to you, I'll get kicked out of the Fireside app. So I'm just going to have to just listen to you. But I did see it and it was amazing, and I appreciate
it. No problem.
So you're saying we're from the it goes back to the Pilgrims?
So there's definitely. So I didn't exactly look at the dates because and some of the reasons I didn't is I want you to go family search. I want you to go dig into it. But yes, just generally speaking, I didn't go pinpoint your line on the Mayflower, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are lines there that go back to the Mayflower.
Wow.
There are lines there that, now maybe not in the document, but if you go to family search, you jump off of that onto the research that's already there, that somebody's already done. First of all, you're probably going to find another cousin. But their work to me looks like real quality work. And rather than me just copy it all over and give you the whole thing, I said, you know what? No. If he wants it, half of the joy in this thing is the discovery.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's got to be, without exaggeration, in our ancestors, in my ancestors and your ancestors, there's at least 5 or 6 different shared family names that go back to the early days in Plymouth, Massachusetts.
That's fantastic.
Which are your Pilgrims. And that, even though I couldn't, in the time that I had at least, I couldn't match my line up with yours. I looked back several of your lines, and then I would compare it to what I had in my database already on my ancestry. And even though they didn't come together to a common ancestor, they come within a generation, or they come within 2 generations. So it's just like, yeah, okay, that, somewhere there, out of that many commonalities, there's got to be some type of a connection, which, didn't expect that, but was a kind of a pleasant surprise.
Absolutely. Now, does the Pilgrims go back? Is that my grandfather's side, the Perry side, or the Young side that can be traced back? Or is it both?
I think, let me, I also have here on my old laptop.
Sure. And while you're doing that, I can explain, I just share a couple thoughts about that. It doesn't surprise me because, we know that the Pilgrims were seeking political asylum. Not political asylum, religious asylum.
Right.
And they were religious, and they saw that they weren't agreeing with the Church of England, so they came over here. And they were very religious. They were devoutly religious. My grandparents, my father's parents, were devoutly religious. And my grandfather was a deacon in the church. My dad and their children were too. And I even have like my cousin Craig, who's the son of my grandfather's daughter, Glinda. He's devoutly religious to this day. And I think could be generational. You pass it down, that kind of faith in God and in religion.
Right.
So I find that interesting.
Yeah. No. It absolutely is. I think I've mentioned that to you before, but I was adopted, but yet I feel like I, in one sense, grew up in Holland because my adopted mom instilled such a healthy Dutch pride in me.
Right.
And then when I started doing research, her family has actually hasn't been in Holland. It left Holland 7 or 8 generations before my adopted mom. And I felt like, might be a harsh way to put it, but I think you'll understand. And if Claire and Jada have stuck around this long, they're probably going to understand too. But I feel like I was in Holland and went through the Second World War there because my mom instilled that healthy Dutch pride in me, and my adopted dad was an acting chief petty officer, basically a sergeant major, trained the men. And so that, that being my background, and he was a vet from the Second World War. So
wow,
yeah. So I'm going to say that it is on the Perry Price side.
Okay.
Because one of the things that you're going to run into very quickly is what we know in genealogy terms as a brick wall.
Oh.
Your maternal grandfather, Charles Young, was born in 1890, as far as we know. And the only census, the only record anywhere that I can find, and I haven't seen anything where anybody else has found anything else, he's in the 1920 census. And other than that, we have no parents for him. We have no other information for him.
Could you suggest, if that's the case, does that suggest that they were too poor?
No, not necessarily. If that was here in Nova Scotia, and quite possibly there, He may have been.
He may have been a foreigner.
He may have been a foreigner. He may not have been a foreigner.
Right.
He may have been just exactly the opposite of a foreigner.
Oh,
He may have been a native,
a native. Oh, a native as in
an Aboriginal.
oh.
He might have been. Now, you know, I don't see any indication of this, but in that, not necessarily him, but in that type of a situation, might have been a person of color.
Wow.
So my first, and not all is, but
Whoa.
when I look at somebody born in the late 1800s, and I have no idea, you just pointed out something without maybe pointing it out, but he might have been a foreigner. I hadn't thought of that, but he might have been a foreigner. He might have been Aboriginal. He might have been, sorry if it's not a politically correct term, but for clarification, he might have been a black person.
And well, this is the thing about that. When you say that, it's interesting because my grandmother had, even though she had the skin, you know, it looked like a, you know, a Caucasian, her features of her face, like I would meet African Americans sometimes, and it would be similar to hers, so much so. And I mean, I know that's kind of, I don't want to, you know, I'm not trying to
that's
be
right. No, you're
but
right.
it just but I remember that specifically.
Right.
So I'm not, you know, I'd be very surprised, but it could be true. Absolutely.
Right. Oh shoot.
But
I think I had somebody asking to join the conversation on wisdom. If you're still there, please hit that button again.
I'm not there actually.
Yeah. Oh, was it you?
Was it? I'm sorry. No, I didn't.
No. I've got Wisdom open as well. I'm broadcasting over to Wisdom as well.
Right.
And yeah, there was somebody there who had clicked the button, but then I didn't see it and they disappeared. Anyway, but yeah, you know, the features are there, right? Like, I mean, I didn't know until you told me that, but a lot of times the features are there.
Right. That makes, wow. Well, sadly, what makes it, it's her attitude. You know, she was born of a generation, of a time when
very closed mouth
in the South. Yeah, very close minded in the South, and it would be what a epiphany to know that she was discriminating against her own people, her own tribe.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, just it'd be I don't know, it just seems like but I mean I don't think she ever knew that she could have been from descended from that, but it's just funny. I think that,
you know, I mean, on the flip side of that, because you know it's all speculation, but on the complete flip side of that, maybe he come from England and went back to England. You don't know. You can only speculate.
Wait. You said there's a census for him in 1920, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, we would know at least if from that I think we would have known if he would have went back to England. That would have been in the family history, I think, because you know my grandfather was. I mean, you know, grandmother was born 19. Oh, and maybe I don't know. Maybe perhaps I've never heard the story of her father. It's pretty. It's what's amazing about this is that it's bringing up things that were never spoken about. That I never. And my dad, he's gone, so I can't. I can ask I haven't. There's a surviving daughter of hers, of William's. You know, my grandmother was William's daughter, so I'll ask her sometime.
That would be interesting.
Yes.
I'll tell you the other thing that would be interesting, and this is something that you can think on, but something else that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Get your DNA done.
Yes.
Because you may have young cousin matches.
Wow. Well, then it will show if I'm descended from African Americans, right?
It It may, especially if it's that close. It most likely will, but it's not necessarily the case. Here's a little explanation that somebody from Ancestry. I wish I could remember the woman's name, because I actually, as I'm going to say, I love the woman because she's in a couple of, she doesn't even know it, but in a couple of the speeches that she's given and a couple of the lessons and things that she's taught, she has majorly helped me understand some things. I'm going to take you all for a little walk with me. This is about as real as it gets, but just to give you an idea, I'm located at Bryden Farm. It's BRIDEN farm.com, which is our homesteading farm in Bear River, Nova Scotia. And right now, this is about as real as it gets, because I have a dog that's whining at the door, and I'm gonna leave you hanging for about 30 seconds.
Brian, isn't it? Doesn't Nova Scotia? Isn't it? They have a burial site for some of the Titanic people that died Titanic, or is that Newfoundland?
Absolutely.
Oh wow.
Halifax, Nova Scotia.
That's it.
Yep.
Wow.
I know a good friend of ours is maybe planning to come visit. Maybe you can come too. We can take a drive and go to the Titanic cemetery.
How far is it? How far is that drive?
Couple hours.
Cool.
Yeah, nice day trip.
Nice.
And now now that the dogs and cats totally confused me, somebody refocus me. I know we were talking about Charles Young.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember where we were in the conversation. But yes, for Claire and Jada, if you may already be aware of that, but here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, is where a lot of the Titanic survivors.
Yeah, I was about to say it too. And go, no, that's not right. The ones that I guess they didn't have anywhere to send the bodies. Unclaimed.
There we go. Tried to balance too much.
Oh, it's all good. That happened to me 3 times one night.
There we are. Yeah. I'll even give a plug for that, because I love you guys on Saturday night.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Ron and 3 other guys do talk on here on Saturday nights called Channels and Vessels. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what time is it, Ron? It's
usually at it's been at 8 o'clock Eastern, but it's usually 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, so it's good. They a lot of philosophical / spiritual / musical / entertainment. Mm-hmm. I've never seen 4 guys talk so open and honest and from the heart.
I appreciate that, Brian.
Well, it is. It's going to be interesting to see how the fan base on that one grows, because it's been good. So I have that Charles Young was born 1890 in Georgia. I have him in Augusta in 1920. I'm going to go back. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to go back and try to grab the link.
Okay.
Probably could have looked it up, but I'm going to see if I can just grab the link. And if that'll work, and if not, then I'll go and look it up. See if I want to look at the actual document. Is what I think I could. It's one good thing about Family Search. Create yourself a free website, not a website, membership for the website.
Gotcha.
Log in, and you'll get to actually look at the document. So you actually get to go and look at the, in this case, the census record.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if I did that, but and I doubt there's anything, but sometimes there is.
Okay.
You know, it's sometimes this thing is how do you put it? Do as I say, not as I do. Because, you know, I tell everybody, make sure you add your sources. I'm thinking, now I may be wrong, but I'm thinking that Claire and Jada have been researching for a while simply because they have stuck around so long for this chat. And ladies, if either of you have anything to add or comment or suggest, feel free. I think I've already sent you the invitation to speak, so feel free. But I really appreciate your sticking around. But sometimes, you know, I tell everybody, make sure you add your sources as you're doing your work. Well, I get excited too. So I jump ahead and I can go back and get that. I can go back and get that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that to yourself. Take your time, research slow, add your sources, and in the end, I think you're probably going to save yourself time and frustration, because there's things that I seen years ago and could have had the source, and I just haven't. You know, things I've never been able to find again.
Right.
So I just want to. Okay, there's Charles Young. Okay, now there's something interesting on this. I'm really hoping that maybe Claire or Jada might help me on this one. I only heard this at RootsTech a couple of weeks ago. I attended RootsTech online, and I didn't know this before, and I've been researching for 30 years, so I kind of feel a little bit silly. But Charles Young, head of the household. Now, it looks to me like, and I would never have even maybe recognized or thought about this before hearing this, but it looks like after, in the same bracket where it says head of household, where it says head, directly after that, it looks like there's a number 2. And this doesn't hold for all census. It might only be a certain census. I can't remember exactly what was said, so now I'm going to have to go and find out.
Okay.
But that may indicate that this was his second marriage. I wouldn't think so, because it's like 30 years. Like, he's 30 years old at this point. But I remember them saying something on one of the talks at RootsTech about there being, and I can't remember if there was one census where it's not that way, or there's one census where it is that way. And I had never heard of it before. But if it has a number in there, it can possibly indicate. So I believe that Charles and Katie were married in 1913. So he would have been 23.
Wow.
So in those days, it is possible that he may have been married before. And I'm definitely not saying he was.
Right. That would have been rare, right? Wouldn't it?
Not really.
Oh, okay. Oh, it could have been a widower.
Right. And because of that, so relation to relationship of the person to the head of the family, but it doesn't say. He did rent in 1920. They were renting, so it does indicate that. Trying to read these columns too.
Gotcha.
Looking at the actual document. Okay, so yeah, so male and white, at least recorded that way. But I can. He may have been as pure white as you could get. He may not have been, because sometimes it was just recorded that way. And
Gotcha.
speaking about my own family, you can only put so much stock in that.
Mm-hmm.
Recorded as 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Single, married, widowed, or so M, because he's married at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The don't really see what are these columns. You would think after 30 years I'd have these columns all memorized, but I always find it's easier to go back and look stuff up than it is to memorize all the details.
Right. Can you hear me? You can hear me, right?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The able to. Okay. I can get back down to the right column here. The that's the one. Okay, so he's recorded as being able to read and write, so that's good.
Awesome.
That's good. That was actually it's 1920, but still, that was probably more rare.
Wow.
The cotton. I wonder if I'm reading that right. If I am, he was the industry in which he was employed was the cottonseed oil.
Wow.
Yeah, and they only having probably nothing directly to do with him, but what makes me chuckle about that is we were all sold on Crisco.
Uh-huh.
Well, Crisco was originally made, even though it was the healthier alternative, at least that was what the marketing campaign was, to good old home rendered pork fat like we make here. But the Crisco was originally made from a non-edible part of the cottonseed that had previously been used as a grease.
Wow.
Yeah. So not knocking Charlie Young at all,
right.
But yeah, it's just funny because I think that's probably the first time I've come across cottonseed oil, and maybe it's just because both things are fresh in memory.
Right.
But yeah, it's and what's this category? Okay, so he's a waged employee. Cottonseed oil. I wonder if that's it. I think possibly it's saying that he worked in a cottonseed oil mill.
Okay.
It's kind of, you really got to look, and a lot of times on these old records, you really got to look. So he was a waged employee in a cottonseed mill. The mill is kind of scrunched up along with the line itself, which just kind of makes it difficult to read. But so, wonder if he may not have been either, but I wonder if he may have been married previous, which if he was, something we could look for is a previous marriage for Charles Young. It was born in 1890.
Mhm.
I would say between 1905 and 1913. Most likely in the same area. Perhaps you might, this is a long shot, but you might find one that was working at a cottonseed mill.
Gotcha.
Right? So little clues that just kind of help. That's where my mind goes
I appreciate that.
on it.
And you know what the biggest gift is right now is I am suddenly picturing my grandmother as a little girl talking to her dad, or I'm sure she called him daddy. I see her now as like a 5 or 6 year old. I've never had that perspective before in my life. Never thought
Right?
about it that way, and I just see it. I see it very clearly, and it's a beautiful thing because you're not just researching. Um, you're you're reinvest or you're bringing to life the past, and that's so true. I think it makes you realize how you have these grandparents, and they're on they're ending. Their life is coming to an end, but they were once children too, and I never saw that picture in my mind until tonight. So I appreciate that,
Right?
Brian, and I appreciate all the work on that on the doc. I'll definitely go to Family Search and do the work myself, and also do a DNA test.
Yeah,
This is
and
fantastic.
feel free to to ask me, continue to ask me questions. I love that. Um,
Absolutely.
but my advice to you at this point is tear it up, leave it alone, never look at it again.
Okay.
and like I said, I don't know who Claire and Jade are. I wish I did. I'm thinking that they're sitting back chuckling because if they've been listening this long, I'm sure that they've been doing research
Oh,
for a while.
yeah, they probably
The
something's. Yeah, they
um,
could be have left it or something because I
the
don't see
reason
any reactions.
and if so, they already know the reason I told you that.
Okay.
This is going to become a lifelong passion
Right.
because you just got it. People ask us all the time, why do you do that?
Yeah.
And it's because, as silly as it sounds, in many respects, we connect with our ancestors in a way that we never
Yes.
had before.
Yes. I
Right?
feel
And
that. I feel that.
we almost bring them to
To life.
life on a level. And I have both blessed you and cursed you, my friend.
I think it'll be well if it's both of them, then it's like kind of an amalgam of the both. And it's just like a in the middle type of thing. So but I appreciate it, Brian, a lot.
Right?
And I really appreciate it. It's a real gift what you've given.
So yeah, it's my passion. I absolutely love doing it, and I was talking for a short bit on wisdom today to a friend of ours who we know as Zenith.
Yes.
And he is actually he doesn't really do this, but he kind of used to a little bit, and he started back into it, and he's not working on his family. He's trying to find information for somebody. And he was expressing, even though it was for somebody else's family, the same kind of feelings, because it is when you get it, you get it.
Right.
Right.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, it really is.
And with that, Brian, I have to leave, but I just want to say again how much I appreciated your work that you've done, and the I can't tell you how much how grateful I am for you for doing that.
No problem. My pleasure. And I think you're free to go, Ron. Thank you. I'm just going to say, if Claire or Jada does have anything else to add, feel free to speak up, come to the stage, and if not, I'm gonna close this now because I can't imagine, unless either of you have something, and you're more than welcome. But if not, I can't imagine any better way to end this than right now. So I'm going to thank Ron and Claire and Jada, all of you, for showing up. And I thank you, Claire and Jada. You may not have spoke tonight, but thanks for sticking around. And a couple of things. I just realized that I did this on our Bride and Farm fireside chat instead of my growing the family tree chat. That's hilarious. So anyway, that's fine. How funny. I wonder if anybody showed up on the other chat. Anyway, that's interesting. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. And you can reach out to me in two ways. I was going to say I do have 2 self-published books currently on Amazon. One is Growing Your Family Tree, Sorting the Wheat from the Chaff. The other is From Irish Roots. And I have growingyourfamilytree.com website. I also have bridonfarm.com, BRIDN farm.com. And I just realizing that this Growing Your Family Tree broadcast is on our Bride and Farm fireside chat that I usually do Thursday nights at the same time. So thank you for showing up. Have a great night, and hope to see you next week. Feel free to contact me in between, any of you. Have a great night. I'm going to end for now.